What is going, guys? My name is Seats, and welcome to Feeds Mindset episode number 8. God damn, we've been moving so fast. Thickles, thank you so much for being on. Welcome in. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. This life has been moving crazy. I'm really excited for this podcast, but regardless of all of what's happened, I'm just appreciative for you to be here, to accept it and want to do this. Just kind of like the one that I did with Honey yesterday. Me and you don't really know each other either, so it's just kind of something I want to normalize for people because they have a lot of issues reaching out and kind of building that connection, and maybe this helps them.
Yeah.
So how have you been recently?
Super good. Super good. Hanging out, grinding for verified, the normal content, strive for your goals type of situation going on. But yeah,
Yeah.
so far it's been good.
Definitely. So what games would you say that you kind of mainstream right now?
I definitely main, and nobody judge me, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019. I don't want to hear about it. I know. But we definitely do a lot of hardcore search and destroy with that, especially for our ladies' nights.
Mm-hmm.
And then we do a lot of Valorant. They're big.
Gotcha. What made you want to get into that mainstream COD for the older version? Did you just enjoy it? Was it more fluent or?
It's actually what I started out on
Oh,
and
really?
just kind of never gave up on. Yeah, no matter how
Never
bad
back
it's
down. Never
gotten.
what?
Yeah, none of it. Never. Listen, I will never give up on this game. I don't care what anybody says, even if it is garbage, absolute garbage. It's where I started,
Yeah.
So I'm like, I have some sort of respect for it, minus loading in and immediately getting headshotted from the enemy team spawn. But it's so much fun. I love it.
Seems like you're happy. So what about Valorant? How long have you been playing Valorant? I'm a big Valorant
Ooh.
player myself.
It'll be a year in October that I've started with that.
Mhm.
Definitely a lot different than Call of Duty. It was a really big change for me. I'm really thankful to the group of people that brought me in and were like, "No, honey, that's not how you play this game. Let us show you." And so those people kind of took me under their wings and taught me the difference between sweeping the floor with a crosshair and keeping your aim steady. Didn't know that was a thing. You don't have to do that in Call of Duty. But it's definitely been great.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we've not really known each other hardly at all, and I've only been able to watch one stream, by the
Mhm.
time that we connected, and so I've not
Yeah.
really seen a lot of your COD side, but your Valorant side, like you're a pretty good shot. Like
Thank
I was watching
you.
yesterday where he was playing deathmatch with the sheriff and stuff, and he was just dicking on kids.
Oh, the TDM was great, you know what I mean? And then you get into comp and you're like, "Where did it go? My aim was immaculate
I
10 minutes
know.
ago."
And then people start talking in your head, and then it pisses you off because you know that you was good, and now you're ass.
Yes, and then all of the faith that you had while you were doing your warm-ups is just depleted, or someone's like, "Why are you pushing that?" And you're like, "I don't know."
Do you solo
It's
queue a
great.
lot, or do you usually play with friends?
It's Valorant, it
Mm-hmm.
kinda just depends on the day. If I get in, I normally solo queue first thing in the morning, and if that's kinda, like, iffy, then I'll win 1 game and get off for the rest of the day, and I won't touch it. If I do pretty
Gotcha.
good in the morning, then I'll pull a friend in later. Like, I normally have, Redhead Vixen, she's a really good friend of mine.
Mhm.
Her and I play a lot together, and we duo, and then, my friend Saturn Panda, she's the one that taught me how to play, so we'll either duo or trio. We do 5 stack on a very rare occasion, you know how that goes, so
Mhm.
we try not to do that, but we
Yeah.
like playing with our friends.
Yeah,
We'll
no, I
lose.
mean, I definitely understand. Before we get into, kind of, the past and the come up and where Thickles came from, I do specifically want to touch on the topic, where you are so invested into the MW19 COD. So what is your opinions and thoughts about how Thickles is going to be when the new COD comes out? Are you excited about it? Are you feeling like you can make the switch, or are you just going to stick to it and stay there?
Well, you see, everyone was really excited when Cold War came out, and
Mhm.
everyone made the switch when Cold War came out. Okay, I played 20 minutes of zombies on Cold War and then left and uninstalled the game. Didn't even touch Vanguard. Watched a good friend
Shit
of
guard.
mine play it. Shitguard, yeah, no, watched it for like 20 minutes and was like, no, I would never, not touching that. Didn't even bother buying it.
Mhm.
And then MW2 came out, and everyone thought the same thing. Oh, everybody's gonna make a big switch. No one's gonna play, 2019 anymore, and I wasn't going to jump on the bandwagon, but somebody gifted me the game. So it's like, well, now I got to try it. I played it for a while. I just personally don't like it.
Mhm.
The movement's obviously very different. The lobbies are very different than what they are on
Yeah.
on M19. I don't know. It was like the first time I got on MW2 and I got into a lobby, the men that were on the other team, like I hadn't even done anything but sneeze, and it was like instant. Who are you? You're on baby, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I just toss that to the side. I will play like Warzone every now and then, but I have zero hope for MW3 only because I know that if I give myself hope, there is a 95% chance I will be let down.
So you're looking for a surprise, is what you're saying.
I'm hoping that I just wake up randomly one morning and everyone's like, wow, MW3 is amazing. You got to try this game. It's so cool. And I'm like, this is like a good idea.
See, like we kind of have the same background. So when Cold War and Shitguard both came out, I was telling Honey the same thing. You know, when both of those CODs had came out, I was getting like so bland of COD because I had made a huge mark in Black Ops 4. Black Ops 4 was kind of, as a sniper and hitting clips and montages, like that is definitely how feeds came to be with BO4. Yeah. And so once, you know, that came out and the new CODs and stuff, I was like, man, like whatever. And around that time, I got my PC. Yeah. So that's when I got invested into COD, I think around like 2021. And I played that for like well over a year. Tons and tons and tons of content and stuff. And so then when MW2 dropped out, I was like, okay, new COD, like we'll give it a shot or whatever. Yeah. Well, around that time, that's when Cold War had started doing like competitive sniping tournaments, like community-based stuff, and it had transitioned into MW, and my Valorant aim just somehow, you know, coerced going into MW2, and I was just shitting on kids, and like I blinked, and before I knew it, I was doing it in ranked, and I was shitting on these kids trying to be like Scump and all these other professional creators, and I'd got to Diamond 1 by sniping only, and it was just such a such an awesome experience, and I was like, man, I was like, this is really going well. And I don't regret anything. It was a great time, and I'm glad that I've kind of made my mark. And I've got my connections. I've not really gotten to my next step in my career, but I've definitely got the connection part, you know, down for sure, and it's taught me a lot. But I did have an opportunity to, instead of be the player, to be the caster and codcast and stuff, which is something I really wanted to do, but I didn't take it. And so I kind of tell everybody the same thing. I'm very blessed and happy with how that all came to be. And I'm not saying that I would change it, but if I had the choice, I would like to see, instead of being the player, just to be the caster. I would love to see how that would pan out, because realistically, there's obviously way more opportunities for a caster than there is a player, because once a new game comes out, if you're bad at the game, then they just don't need you. You know,
I do have a buddy that codcasts. His name is Big Rich. It is his absolute goal to become a professional codcaster. And I met him actually on Modern Warfare 2019. Really? He was on the enemy team and he was codcasting the whole game. Like he was, you know, Coalition Allegiance 1-1, good job, everybody, great round. Like he was playing the game, but he was codcasting the whole thing. And I was live and I was like, oh my God, like this guy is so funny. But a lot of the other people on our team and his team were like, you know, shut up. What are you talking for? Why are you opening your mouth? Like basic COD crap in a lobby. And I immediately sent him a friend request afterwards and was like, no, I loved it. Come play with me. Like CODcast the rest of our games for the rest of the night. Play with me. So I've seen him move from that to actually codcasting for some MW2 tournaments and move. I'm like, oh my goodness, he, you know, it's crazy the things that you are offered as a codcaster. So I think if that's something you ever wanted to go back and try out, do it.
Yeah, no, I mean, that is definitely my intention, and that's what I was going to say too. Like when MW3 drops out, obviously just like everybody, I'm going to play it and try to snipe and see how it goes. But I really don't think, like, if comp sniping tournaments come back, I'll definitely play them, because it's such a good time. It's such a cool time being able to not only just have all the connections, but also, you know that you have the skill level, and there's, you know, your opponent is somebody that's crazy, and then you can, you know, win them over and move on, and they lose. You know, it's a cool competitive factor. But at the end of the day, I guess my main issue that I have with COD is all the fucking cheaters. And when I say that, it's because even $1 wagers, they don't allow keyboard and mouse, and I just can't be asked to go back on controller. And I really feel like I am pretty skillful at mouse and keyboard, but they just don't allow it. So I don't have a path to go in to be comp, even if I put the sniper down. And so
Yeah.
I think it kind of makes my decision easier, but it's not like something where it's like I don't want to do, like I do want to codcast. But if I did ever have the choice and keyboard and mouse was allowed, I would definitely go the route to try to be a competitive player, because I know that I have the mindset, and just like everybody, I just have to practice my aim. But map rotation, spawn, just I had tons of information and influence to how to play the game, with positioning and everything. But it's
I don't
just
think I could ever
unfortunately.
touch a controller like that again. I made controller, obviously started on Xbox and started there. And then when I did get my PC and I got my mouse and my keyboard, I was like, this is a whole different world. Like, you can move so much faster. You have more control over your recoil. You have more control over your aim. I was like, no, mouse and keyboard is the love of my life. And then when I had found out the same information, they're like, yeah, we don't care how good you are on mouse and key. It's controller only. I was like, well, there goes that.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
not, I can't. I pick up that controller, and it feels almost foreign in my hands. I'm like, did I used to hold this?
I'm the same way. Like when MW2 dropped, I actually have. You can actually probably see it. Maybe not in the podcast, but where you can see like the little PS5 controller that's down there by my desk. My sister had gave that to me because it was an extra one, and so I'd bought a Bluetooth one, and I was like, okay, like I'm gonna sit down, like because I was serious about it, because I love competitiveness, and I sat down and like I tried for like 2 hours, and it just wasn't happening. And so like I told you with my whole Black Ops 4 era that I had, like I look back on those clips, and all of those clips were both on Xbox and on PlayStation. And I look back at that, and then I look at where I'm at now, and I'm like, there's no way that like I could compete with myself back then if it came to controller. Like I would wipe the floor with myself.
I feel that.
It does suck. But I guess for me specifically, it is kind of a happy medium, because it's something I'm upset about, but it's not like I'm at this point where it's like I have no other options now. Like, am I going to play League of Legends, Apex, Fortnite, Valorant? Like, I don't have to find other games to restart at. I just have to find a different, level of positioning within the COD community to try out, rather than just being the player. So I think it's always important to weigh out your options and stuff, and understand, no matter how bad you want it, if you genuinely enjoy whatever you're doing, there's always other ways to still invest and what's the word I'm looking for? To be able to, I guess just help and guide along the process without being a part of the process. Because like even something simple, like I was talking to a guy named Reciprocity, which is a COD Challengers player. I just had him on the podcast a couple days ago. Extremely great guy and extremely fucking talented and skilled player. And that's what we was talking about. And he was like, man, honestly, when I think of me versus a COD caster, obviously I can wipe the floor with them, but when it's me to them, I feel like I would put them above me, because to be a caster and to be so intricate about everything and different screens and different people and remembering names and maps and rotations and guns and all that stuff,
you gotta know
and,
it all.
It's definitely a lot more. 100%. As a player, you just hold your own and hold it down.
Yeah, you're
and as a caster, and that's what I was talking to Reciprocity about too. I was like, as a caster, it's not even about all the fact of doing all that, but a lot of people, and this is what I was telling him specifically. His parents watch him when he plays, and they'll tune in and stuff. And a lot of the times they could be traveling, so a lot of people listen to that audio only. And when it's audio only, that's all they have to rely on as a caster.
Yeah,
and I mean, sports are the same shit. Sports are the same exact way. I mean, my dad watches the radio listening to the Kentucky Wildcats play all the time. So it's kind of the same hypothetical, but realistically, I think that it's just little things I've never really thought about of how much of an impact they actually make, because realistically, they're the ones that kind of make the tournaments. It's just the players that just make it look cool.
Yeah, and I've said, my buddy Big Rich, when he codcasts, he's every codcaster is unique in their own way. Each codcaster has a way that they go about announcing or presenting when they do it, and he just has this subtle funny. It's like a bit of a Ryan Reynolds subtle funny, and he says it with a completely dead straight face, and so you don't know whether he's being serious or whether you should sit there. Like, I die laughing. Even when he's not trying to codcast, this man just bleeds codcasting. We were playing Pummel Party, and he was codcasting it. And I couldn't. It was the funniest thing ever. I loved it. But it takes a lot of skill. Like, he can come up with something like that. Like, absolutely random. It could be a 1v1 at the end of a match in COD, and it's me versus somebody on the other team, and say I no scope them out the window, whatever, it's great. And Big Rich will come in, he's like, Thickles coming in hot with the, and then something like out of pocket. And I'm like, dude, how did you even come up with that in the blink of a second? But he cracks me up. I could never. I'd get so lost and I'd fumble probably everything. And I'd be like, well, blue team killed last guy on red team.
Yeah,
Good job.
definitely, and I think that's where I see, and that's probably the direction that I want to go. So yeah, I'm glad to know about all that experience and the way that you feel about calling and stuff, and I'm glad that not only the fact that it's something that you currently do, but it's something that clearly you enjoy.
Oh yeah.
So let's finally, after like 15 minutes talking about the topic, let's finally go back and figure out where Thickles came to be. So give me an insight of not only just you getting into gaming, but how that transpired into streaming and streaming for your first time.
Well, I was the youngest. I am the youngest of five, and I have one older brother, and the rest are girls. We're all sisters, and then the one brother that's there in the middle. He and I were the closest growing up. So I think he was like 17, 16 when I was born. And so like, on days where I was sick, he'd stay home from school with me. And I started off on a Nintendo 64 and a GameCube. I played a Twilight Princess, we played Fusion Frenzy on the first Xbox that ever came out. He got the first Xbox. So I grew up around the games. Um, it wasn't until later when I was, I believe, in like 8th grade, my mom had brought home an Xbox 360 for me because I'd go to my friend's house and her older brothers also had one, and we would just play zombies, Black Ops 1, 2. It was the highlight of my life were those days. We would just sit there, transit all the maps, the Easter eggs, they're all under the belt. I know every single one of them. Love the original Black Ops. And then it was just really gaming then, I was a very big sports kid growing up. I was very competitive when it came to sports. I played soccer my entire life, and that was the life goal. I was going to be a professional soccer player. I had scouts and sponsorships by the time I was a junior, and then tore my meniscus on the field and watched a scout get up and leave the stand as
Dang.
I did it. And I knew in that moment when I watched her leave that she knew that that was a career ending injury because she watched it. So after getting all, those images and x-rays and MRIs afterward, the doctor confirmed, you can no longer play this sport competitively if you want to keep your knee intact by the time you're 30. So I had to give that up. Then fast forward a couple of years, I turned 19 and I got injured at work. I was working and lifting something I shouldn't have been lifting and got hurt pretty bad. I was bedridden for almost 2 years. I wasn't
Wow.
allowed to work out. I wasn't allowed to lift anything. I couldn't even like lift and play with my nieces. Like it was a really dark time for me. I got very low, very sad. And one day I was playing Fortnite with my friend Nikki. We were just sitting in our room. She had her TV sitting up next to mine. We'd bring all of our consoles to whoever's house. And I accidentally went live on Mixer. And I had no clue what it was. There was just this red dot up in the right hand corner that said live and a little box. And I was like, Nikki, do you see that? And then there was messages like somebody was talking to me. And I was like, how do I turn that off? Is that an overlay? What is that? And someone was like, hi, how are you? And I'm like, who? I'm like, are you messaging me? Okay, if 20 minutes into that, we figured out that I was broadcasting live to Mixer from my Xbox account. Didn't even know that that was a thing. Had no idea that you could stream video games, had no idea that you could watch people stream video games. It was complete accident that I even got into it. Once I realized what it was and I looked up what Mixer was, I went in, I made my account, and I'm pretty sure I got close to 4,000 followers on Mixer, and then it died.
Mm.
So I gave up after that. I was like, I'm not moving to Twitch. Everybody told me how awful Twitch was. People on there were awful. Twitch is this new big bad platform that came out, and killed Mixer.
Yeah.
At the time, that's all everybody thought. Hint, hint, kick. We did the same thing, but I waited a year, and by the time I'd moved to Twitch, everybody that moved when Mixer died was 20 steps ahead of me.
Yeah.
Maybe even 30 steps ahead of me. It took me a good year and a half to get affiliate on Twitch, and that was very humbling enough for me because I had already started over from Mixer and went back to square one, and then sat at 0 and then 1 and then 2 viewers, I think, solid for a year
Wow.
before we had a difference. Yeah, so um falling in love with gaming was an accident, but definitely something that I needed. And I will say that it 100% saved my life. If I hadn't accidentally seen that live marker, I would not be where I am today.
Yeah.
Would not have made it nearly this far. I probably would have gotten even more sad or depressed. The friends that I've made through streaming, oh my gosh, it's been an amazing experience. And then thinking back, where I started, it's crazy to see that it's 2023 and I'm still here. I'm still cooking,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean
Great.
that's insane. That's an insane story, and that is something specifically that I would really doubt that there's like not even 100 people that could say that they did something accidentally in the gaming world. People make accidents all day, but like in the gaming
Yeah.
world and for streaming, I mean that is completely wild to be able to just be introduced to that whole thing, and especially as a woman creator being able to get into the scene. And I was telling Honey this yesterday. I hate wording things like this, but that is the generation that we live in now. And so
Yeah.
how has accidentally getting into streaming, starting up all that, and you start building a community? Did you start running into any problems like while you were building your community and stuff like that? Specifically as a woman creator.
A lot of the things that I faced early on was, especially when I first started with Twitch, hot tub streams were huge. Huge. I'm sure everybody
Yeah,
remembers the era of when that first came about. Everybody had a hot tub, everybody was in a bikini, everybody like titties galore is what it was for a while. Okay, I'm a pretty petite woman. I may be a woman, but I don't have the same womanly aspects that every woman has.
yeah,
So I struggled a lot just mentally with myself because even if I wanted to exploit myself the same way, I still, as a woman, wouldn't have the same outcome as
yeah,
the next one because I didn't have the same to offer. And I mean, like, don't get me wrong, we're Thickles for a reason, but what am I gonna do? Have a camera facing my ass cheeks the whole
yeah.
time I'm live? No, we're not. So I definitely struggled for a while, even trying to keep or hold viewers because nobody was interested in my actual gameplay. If I didn't have my titties out, why are we looking at you?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a sad thing, and I've never been one to have that. I mean, me and my fiance has been together 6 years, and when I started seeing all this stuff coming out, I was just thinking, I was like, man, I was like, what if somehow she was in the gaming space and doing that? Like, I just don't know if we would have the same relationship because I mean, everybody has different priorities and the way that they perceive themselves and stuff. And at the end of the day, if you want to go chase a bag, you can chase a bag. But when
Yeah.
you get to where you're going, I just feel like that direct process of that, I feel like not only is it easy for people to make, but once they kind of get there, like, yeah, like if you do that and whatever you got to do to make your money and get up there, like once you're there, who do you have to fall on? How, like, is it really
Yeah.
worth it? And I feel like that's the problem nowadays. I don't feel like anybody really thinks of like, when I make it there, who can I talk to? They're just like, I don't care about making it there. I want to be able to have my bills paid. And it's like, I get that we all live in rough times, but I just think that's a really naive and just a not a good way
Yeah.
to look at it as far as long term. And there's people that are okay with that, and if that's the case, then all power to you. There's
And I'm
many
I
women,
feel
and
the
there's
same
there's
way,
even men
yeah.
that do that stuff. There's men that
Yeah.
do that, and all power to them if they want to do that. That's completely fine, and nobody's bashing you. But at the same time, they are kind of setting a certain mark specifically for women creators because I mean
They're
obviously
setting a
you guys,
quota.
yeah, like you guys already have enough problems with weird men and trolls and stuff like that, and so
Yeah.
I feel like that just it kind of doesn't help. I mean, what are
Yeah.
your thoughts on that?
I personally, and I feel very blessed to even be able to say this. I've known and gotten to know a lot of female creators moving from Mixer to Twitch, from Twitch to Kick, and just like all social media in general, Instagram, Twitter, all that fun stuff. I have never had to deal with the same amount of hate that a lot of the female creators that I know have had to deal with. Um, but again, like I said, I also run the way that I do things
Hmm.
very differently than
Yeah.
most people do because I didn't get up to the viewer average that I have or the community that I have because I had explicit videos or pictures there. When I first
Hmm.
started, it was about the game for me. I didn't care who was in there to watch, how many people were in there to watch. It was, I'm good at the game. And if you don't see my skill with the game, then okay, to each their own. I never made it. It was more of like I'd wake up, I decide to stream, and whoever wanted to be there was going to be there. At the end of the day, I knew that the people that were going to show up were going to show up because they're there for me and not because I have skimpy clothes on or not
Yeah.
because I have $400-500 worth of giveaways or not, they're genuinely there to, hey, it's Monday. I know Mondays are pretty big for you. How's your Monday going, Thickles? Or hey, I know you had an appointment this weekend. How'd that go? Are you good? My community and I are not distant. We're not, you know, it's not that let me go live and have you stare at me kind of
Yeah.
creators. And like you were saying before, respect to each creator out there. Whether you're out here trying to make this a career, whether you're out there just trying to get your bills paid, I respect it, to each their own. But be straightforward about it. If you're here just for the bag and not to care about your community, be here for the bag and be proud of it. If that's who you are and that's what you want to do that. Don't come out here acting like you're this most genuine, caring person to be there for these people. And the moment they stop giving you the subs or the same support that
Hmm.
you want, you're no longer there for them. Those are kind of like the creators that I
Yeah.
stay away
And
from.
I feel like, and that's kind of the thing that sucks about this conversation is because people have conversations like this all the time, but it's usually in this specific context, it's usually men that either think they know better or they're just trying to like embarrass somebody or whatever. But I feel like,
Yeah.
I hate that conversations like this can really get taken out of context. I mean, there could be even somebody offended already. I don't really know why, but if you are, I mean, all power to you. But I guess my point of my topic is not the fact that people do that stuff. It's the fact that they made streaming and being a full-time creator such a different goal. It used to be if you're
Yes.
funny and if you're skilled and if you can collab with people and if people really enjoy you, and a lot of people have kind of created, in a way, fake fame, and it's like, I know people don't want to hear that,
Yeah.
but if you fast forward 5 to 10 years ago and think about when Mixer was around and all of that stuff and Facebook gaming and Facebook lives and when YouTube first started,
Yeah.
it had nothing to do with all of that stuff. It was just
No.
simply, do you enjoy this creator and why? Not that, hey, my
Yeah.
Discord kitten's live today. Let's go check her out. And it's like, it's just,
Literally.
it's such an annoying topic because everybody that is a part of that topic is going to feel targeted. And it's not the fact that I'm upset with them if that's how it is. I'm just upset with the way that transitioned into something that's normalized.
I guess a good way to put it, because anyone watching, it's never a goal of mine to ever upset or offend anybody. I live by a standard, and my life motto is, if whatever you're doing with yourself does not affect me and mine, then I have no say. If I'm not being harmed or hurt in the process of the decisions you make for you, your community, your stream, boosting, solid, go get your bag, babies. I
Mm-hmm.
support everybody, but you have to remember that the way you do things as a creator, you're gonna get different outcomes. So there's multiple people that have that I'm gonna get the bag mentality and I'm gonna get my bills paid mentality that also get very upset when they have a lower outcome, when they have bigger, more serious things coming, or when they take something more serious, they don't have the same amount of support that they do, say, if they're, doing one of their hot tub streams or something like that, because you set a certain quota, like we were talking about, for yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
I have a bunch of friends who are the same mindset. They don't It's not about the career for them, it's about the bag. And
Mm.
there's some of my like great friends. I'm like, "Okay, to each their own," but you can't get upset when you don't have the same support, say, as somebody who's been grinding and has a loyal following of people that were there for the gameplay and for the streamer. That's where I feel like a lot of that offensiveness comes in, and where a lot of people are like, "Well, I don't do that," and people get their feelings mixed, which is understandable, and no one's ever going to judge how you want to do something. But
Right.
it's hard when you do one thing one way, but you want this outcome and you're getting this outcome. You got to change the way you're doing things then. If you want the genuine, loving community and the genuine support, you yourself have to do the same in return. My community is not Thickles branded. I say it to my community all the time. They're like, this is your community and you built this. No, I didn't. No, I did not. I just started it. I'm just the face. That's
Yeah.
it.
You guys
The
built it.
old We built it. Everybody built it. I have my friend Kate, who's my head mod, basically my manager. She helps me with everything. If it weren't for her, oh my God, I wouldn't have half the things done today that I have done. And it's not because I pay her. It's not because we're friends. It's not because of anything other than the fact that she stepped foot in this community and she made it hers too. I'll get messages, "Hey, I made this for you. Do you like it? Let me know what you think about it." And I'm like, "Oh my God, I needed to make one of those. Thank you so much." She's like, "I know you had so much on your plate. I just wanted to get it done for you." You didn't have to do that. Why are you doing that? But I love you, man. That's the kind of friends that I have in my community. That's the
Yeah.
kind of relationship that I strive to build, you know? I spent a lot of time alone when I first started doing this. I spent a lot of time in the dark, and it gets hard mentally there. And everybody knows how that is. When you're staring at that view count and it's 1 or 0, it's hard no matter what happens. My biggest message for everybody and anyone that enters my community is it's a judgment-free zone. Anybody and everybody is welcome, because I remember what it was like to be there. I do. I do remember what it was like struggling to get people to collab. I do remember what it was like struggling to keep and hold viewers. I do remember the feeling of being like, why aren't you good enough? All these other people are making it. What
Mm.
about, I know the struggle. And at some point, you just have to say, if it happens, it happens. You keep doing the work. You keep waking up every day and grinding, whether there's 2 people in there or 200 people in there. My demeanor, I don't look at that view count. I haven't looked at it since I got on Kick, and I haven't looked at it since I was on Twitch. I never know how many people are in my streams unless somebody messages me and tells me, "Hey, like, you got a lot of people in there, man. Congrats." Or I somehow accidentally pull up and look it up on like Google, you know? Those numbers deplete you. They ruin everything that you have going for yourself. So if you just continue to do, you know, what it is that you love to do every day. I love to make people laugh. I love to make people feel seen and feel heard. So if there's 2 people in here and I've got somebody that I'm playing with and they're telling me a story or they're telling me, "Oh, like this was funny," and someone starts talking over them, like, "Hold on, this person was talking. I'm listening to them." I'm one of those real, I like to be interested in my
Mm.
community, you know? I take a good, if I could stream and not like, if weren't getting paid for this and it was just, "Oh, you can stream and go live," I'd still do it. I would still 100% do it, because that's my family right there. That's who, you know, I look forward to catching up with every day when I, you know, post in Discord, "Hey, like, it's a family day. We'll see you tomorrow." "Hey, did you guys have fun yesterday? Did you guys take any pictures? Where'd you guys go?" I love that. I love getting to know those people because, yeah, we're playing video games and yeah, it's all money and fame and blah, 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 blah. But I've got family in Pennsylvania that you know, half of them I never even met. Half of them I finally got to meet. And once I got out there, it's like, man, I've known these people my whole life, even though it's my first time meeting you in
Yeah.
person. It's it's more than a career at this point. And I feel like a lot of people that look at it like a career are going to treat it like a career. If you
Yeah.
look at it like you're having fun, it's always going to be fun.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely agree, and I think that's a very important and such a bland topic of viewers and people that are watching. Because I mean, you see it all the time. I mean, you'll have people that stream for 3 or 4 hours, and they'll look down, they'll be like, "Oh, like I don't think there's anybody in here, so I'm just gonna leave." And I've been a part of streams where people was like saying that to the screen, not even knowing that I'm in there. It's like, I don't think anybody's in here, so see you later. And instantly
Yeah,
I unfollow, and you're like, you're not a creator that I want to be with, because you don't want to grow yourself if you're not willing to put in an extra couple hours, because you never know what could happen. And
exactly.
the other thing too is like I've seen the same exact thing of people commenting and be like, "Hey," be like, "Oh, I'm in, welcome to the stream," and they're like, "Hey,
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of time, just wanted to come by and just say hi and check on you." I'm just like, "Oh, have a good day." And they like kind of completely ignored them, and it's like it's so
Yeah.
stupid, because they came to see you. They wouldn't type at all in your chat, even ones that just like. And I know that this is a touchy topic for some creators, because they're like, don't say lurking in my chat, don't just spam emotes, and don't just come say hi real quick. Like, I want you to stay for a while. It's like anybody that takes time out of your day to just say one individual thing or drop an emote in your chat, they do care about you. They have their life
Yeah.
going on, they have other intentions or whatever. And if you're offended and think I'm not a priority for them because they can only hang around for a few seconds, then you're not their priority, and you need to
Yeah.
kind of look in the mirror. How many times do you support them? For them, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, like he's not on my stream. How many times are you in their stream? And that's just things that
Yeah.
like they don't mirror check, and they don't fact check, and they don't understand. And by the time you actually
Yeah.
need someone, that person that kept coming every single day and just saying a couple of things, and then you're like, man, like I just had a family emergency and I just really want to talk about it. And that one person that kept coming
It's
back
not
that
there.
you could reach out to is no longer there because of the way that you
Yeah.
treated them. And people don't normalize that kind of being a part of mental health, because it revolves for everybody. You know, if you're a creator, you are streaming for a community and to build yourself up, and it is pathetic if you have somebody wanting to be a part of your community and it's your fault that they're not a part of it. It's so sad, and you see it all the time.
Yes. My biggest pet peeve with that specific topic is like, like you have some community members that are a little passive aggressive and they say some
Mhm.
off the wall shit. They come in, they're super funny. And then you've got those little bit of groups of people that are like, hey, I'm lurking, I'm not gonna say anything, I'm just hanging out. And then you've got those really sweet, shy people that and this is the category I'm targeting. And not in a bad way. I love
Mhm.
my shy people. And for anybody that's watching this, if you are that shy viewer, just to know from a creator, we love you. But if you guys continue to come into my stream and say, "Hey, I'm sorry I haven't been here," or "Hey, I'm sorry I couldn't be here. This came up." You have a life outside of me, baby. You have a million things to do, places to be, people to meet, things to experience. I'm always going to be here. Whenever you're ready to come back, I'll be here waiting for you. But please don't ever apologize for not being there. It's not a priority. It's a when you can and if you can. And when you do, we appreciate it. But don't ever make me or my video game a priority. You want to stop by and say hi? Happy to hear from you. Some people come and stop in every 6 months that I don't even get to talk to outside of that, and when I see their name, I know. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I haven't heard from you in so long.
Mhm.
Sorry I haven't been here." And I'm like, "Don't say that. Tell me what I missed. What's been
Yeah.
going on?"
Yeah, I mean that makes me think. There was one creator. I don't know names or anything, but I just remember the video. There was this creator that was streaming, and she had like a bunch of people. She had like a couple hundred people in her chat. Her chat was moving really fast, and this one person came into her chat, and he was like, "Hey, like I've not been here for a while, but I was just wanting to check up on you." And she started like breaking down crying because it was like a good friend of hers, and he just dipped for no reason, and she thought that he either didn't like her or something had happened to him, and he was just not
Yeah.
around anymore. And those are the kind of humbling things, and people just forget, and they get in the mindset of like, I don't really want to say hi to Feast today because it's been a couple months and I just don't think that he's going to appreciate it. And people need to get the fuck out of that mindset because
Or people like
that helps nobody.
there's creators that do get mad. You know what I mean? There are
Mhm.
creators that are like, "Well, where have you been? Why have you not been in here?
And it's
I
so
don't
stupid.
understand." And I know numbers are a big thing. I understand everybody wants to hold those big numbers. Everybody does. And anybody that says they don't are lying. Everybody wants it. But at what cost? To make someone feel like shit because maybe they needed to take a break because their mom died. They needed to take a couple months to just recoup, refigure out how to live their life, let their
Hmm.
heart figure out how to rebeat without somebody in it. Who am I to say, you haven't been here for 6 months, so we're no longer friends. You haven't checked on me. I haven't checked on you. You've been gone for 6 months. I don't know where the hell you've been.
Yeah.
It's not my place, to get mad. And then I feel bad because then I got people coming in saying, "Hey, I'm sorry," because someone before me was like, you should be apologizing. You've been gone for this long and you've missed this, and that's what Twitter's for.
Yeah.
That's what
No, I
Instagram is
mean,
for.
I
That's what
fully
Facebook is
agree.
for.
I fully
Don't
agree.
make your lurkers feel bad for lurking, and don't make the people that genuinely don't have a lot of time, but they use that sliver of a window on you. Don't make them feel bad because you're not a priority in their life. It's okay not to be someone's number one priority. You should feel good being someone's, "Hi, how are you?" anyways, because they're thinking about you.
Yeah.
There's some people out there that don't have anybody thinking about them at all.
Yeah, I think and that's kind of like with me and my connections and my gaming friends, and I tell everybody this. There's a guy named Leif Eats Lemons, and I love that man to death, and we've known each other for years and years. And
Mhm.
he's in the Navy, I'm pretty sure, is a branch that he's in. And he was on this big long sea trip like during COVID, and was there for months and months and months, and had to normalize, obviously no phones, no nothing, no family, no pigeons
Yeah.
that would drop down, messages or
Dude,
whatever.
imagine.
And he had to normalize getting used to his bunkmates and stuff. And so fast forward, when he finally came home and everything was over, his mom had passed away, and he had no idea, and he didn't have hardly any other family to really connect with, and it just shattered him. And around that time, that's when just me and him, there was this team called Eminence that had came around. Rest in peace. It ended off horribly because of other management. But it was a team that he was wanting to be a part of. and it just didn't work out. And so around that time, we had just connected because he wanted to be a part of the team, and he was like, "Hey, like I just want to get." I didn't know at the time, and he's like, "I just want to get my mind off things. I want to be a creator, and clearly you stream every day. Can you give me some advice and help me out?" And I was like, "Yeah, for sure, no worries." And so,
Aw.
fast forward, that was around the time when I started my Valorant area where I started really getting into that. And that was like just a month or two when he reached out to me, and we
Mhm.
started playing some games, and he started asking me about my life and my mindset, the way that I see things and stuff. And got into
Mhm.
it. And like 2 or 3 days later, he was like, "Hey," he was like, "Do you have time for a call?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I can make time. No worries." I was like, "What you need?" And we got on the call, and we put our face cams on, and he was like really emotional. And I was like, "Hey, like what's going on?" And he just started crying. And I was like, "Hey," I was like, "It's okay." I was like, "Whatever's going on," I was like, you can tell me, like what's going on? Like tell me.
Yeah.
And he was like, and it still kind of gets me teary eyed thinking about it. But he was like, "You've helped me, and you've not even realized it." And I was like, "How?" And he started telling me about his mom passing away and stuff. And I was like, "Dude," I was like, "I had no idea." And he's like, "I don't really want you to have an idea. He's like, I just want you to know like how you've helped me, being able to talk to you about things, and you giving me certain advice on things. And my advice wasn't even really the advice I was searching for as a creator. I was just trying to find it to be able to be a better human being, and how to connect with people more." And him talking to me about his mom, and how we had connected and stuff, it just immediately built a brand new foundation of respect and friendship for me and him. And so to be able to kind of build that and know that, as a creator, I made that kind of impact on somebody, it was just amazing. And I couldn't believe my eyes. And so after, we had talked and we had ended off, I took a walk outside, and I was just, looking up, because I do believe in God. I don't push religion on anybody, but I was just looking at
Yeah.
God, and I was like, I don't know why. I was like, I don't know if content creation or being a full time streamer in the future, I don't know if that's it for me, but you put me here for a reason. And today you just showed me why. And so ever since then, I've never lost motivation with streaming as long as I can make time for it.
I had kind of a similar situation there back still when I was itty bitty with Twitch. I have a guy in my community at the time, and it was a Sunday. I don't stream on Sundays. And he messaged me and he goes, "My son died a year ago today, and I'm just
Mm.
really lonely right now." He's like, "Do you think that you could go live so I could watch you play?" And most people are like, "Live for one person? Why would I go live on my off day?" Without hesitation, I said, "You bet your ass." I said, "Go open it. I'm going live right now." I said, "I look like absolute garbage. I was sweaty. I had a hoodie on. I had my hair up in a bun. I had like nothing was done. No lights were on, nothing." I said, "You bet your ass I'll go live. You bet your ass I'll go live." And I streamed for 4.5 hours, and he was in there the whole time. And that was the night that I got one of the biggest raids of my life. That was the night that I got reached out to by a lot of people the most. Um, and I didn't even care. I didn't pay attention to any of it. I messaged him immediately after the stream and I said, "How are you feeling? You all right?" He said, "Best night of my life."
Mm.
He's like, "All I needed was a distraction." He was like, "I was going to do it. I was going to do it. But all I needed was that distraction."
Mm.
And I have not been burnt out. I have not taken a break. I will cancel streams if I need to. But knowing that all I had to do was play Call of Duty for one person, and that made that much of a difference. Everybody in my community knows that I am the biggest empath that there is. I can feel the smallest shift in things.
Hmm.
But knowing, like genuinely knowing that you brought out real happiness from someone is the only thing that I will ever need from this.
Yeah.
If they tell us you can no longer make money from streaming, I don't care. I'm not going to stop. I got so emotional with your friend's story about his mom because my head mod Kate about a month ago lost her mom,
Mm.
and she was actually here in Seattle visiting me.
Wow.
um, and her dad called me and told me what happened, and I had to go wake Kate up and tell her,
Wow.
"Hey." And we met through Twitch. We have only met through Twitch. We met through another creator. We've known each other for about 3 years at that point. And the loss of her mom was huge. I mean, her mom meant a lot to me, but
Yeah.
obviously it's her mom.
Right.
That is her mother. she tells me that she's like, I couldn't have done it without you. We're still getting her through it, you know? And I'm like, dude, no, I couldn't have done it without you. I couldn't have done any of this without you. And I stopped, you know, and we were talking about it. By the grace of God, she was here with me. By the grace of God, we were friends and we've been friends through gaming of all things.
Yeah.
And she was here with me when the most detrimental thing in her life could have happened. Knowing that she was comfortable being here with me and comfortable feeling what she needed to feel during that time, that's the only recognition I'm ever going to need. If I make you feel safe enough to be who you are, and I make you feel safe enough to feel who you are without fear, then I've already made it. I don't need anything else than that.
Definitely. No, and I fully agree. And, you know, touching back on the whole topic of, you know, the women creators and issues that they deal with and how this gaming space is created, you know, that's really kind of my whole point is just people have forgotten what kind of impact they can make as a creator. And, you know, yeah, like, again, just like we've talked about, like if you're about the bag and all that kind of stuff, like that is perfectly fine. But regardless what your intentions are, you do have to be honest, because at the end of the day, like, you have no idea who's in your stream. You may get a contract deal, you may get a new job, you may save somebody's life, you may make a brand new friend. Like, anything can happen.
You could hurt somebody else if you're not careful with what you say, you know.
Yeah,
and
you can also make an impact negatively, you know.
If you, a lot of creators I've had, you know, in the time that I've been on it, some creators have come out and they're like, "Oh, I have to tell you guys something," or that wasn't actually me. You hurt people that way. That's traumatic for somebody to think that they're getting to know somebody for so long and then come to find out that you're not who you said you were the whole time. That's lying. That's false advertising, you know? And that's why I appreciated when we had spoken before this interview. I told you I'm an open book. You're going to know who I am right from the get-go. And you're like, that's perfectly fine because I am too. And I immediately was like, all right, I'm ready to go. We're perfect. That's great. It's so much easier to just be open and upfront in the beginning. It makes who you are as a creator that much more genuine. And it makes finding and building that community so much easier because you know who is there for you and who is there to use you.
Yeah.
You know who is there to like to get to know you, and you know who's there to just look at you.
Yeah, no, and I fully agree, and that's kind of, you know, the message that I do want to send to people, because, you know, now me and you have talked, now we've done this podcast, we both know, you know, good things about each other. So now the next time the next time that we see each other in our chat, it's going to mean a whole lot more. And that's not just me trying to highlight our friendship and talk about how cool it is. It's for whoever's watching this that is shy and that don't have those connections to this stuff. You can have that, and you're the only one holding yourself back from that, because I promise you the person that you're wanting to reach out to cares a lot more than you think that they do. So I really appreciate all your stories and everything. Shout out to Kate and all your other supporters, and Leif and all of mine, obviously. Wonderful people. I didn't specifically ask, you know, where Thickles came from, because you had kind of talked to me a little bit about it, but is there anything that you would like to share about you or your community, or just maybe with your community?
I think the only thing, if we're talking like present now, is I do have, like we were speaking about before, a partnership deal coming up. I'm not gonna out them yet. And the community here is gonna have some changes that I don't think they're exactly expecting yet. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, and I'll do the same exact thing. You know, I'll make you feel just 50-50 to where it's even on both sides. I'm getting into casting. That was the whole reason talking about this, because I do have an opportunity with casting, and it's not in set in stone yet, because I'm waiting on details and what day and what's going to happen. But I am going to get into it. So, you know, I'll do the same thing to make you feel better.
Oh, congratulations. That's huge. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, so it's awesome. But yeah, I mean, you know, after all that, you know, is there anything else you'd like to say before we end off here?
Well, I appreciate you so much for having me on here. And just in case anybody out there, like you were saying, reach out. Don't let the fear, what is that? The Cinderella story? Y'all know the quote. I know all y'all watched it. Don't let the fear striking out keep you from playing the game.
Yeah.
Because it will.
Our Twitters are right below. It's just a DM away. That's all it is.
Exactly.
But yeah, I genuinely and truly appreciate you being on. You've been a fantastic guest. I'm glad that I got to know more about you and to spread light for the community, for women creators, and for mental health in general, for it to be normalized. So thank you so much for being on. I really enjoyed having you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. This is great.
Alrighty, guys. So that's it. Episode 8. We are done, man. So many creators, man. Thank you guys so much. I got pit stains because it's hot as fuck in my room. You guys know that. It's so sick being able to meet all you fucking creators, man. It's so great. There's so much negativity that happens in this fucking world. And I just want to normalize some way of people to be able to look back or talk about things and have a platform to share what they want to share. I'm sure that there's things that I'm going to say that's going to get taken out of context, things that you guys may not fully, notice or something like that. But my intentions are true and genuine with nobody and everybody. Is just I want you all to grow and be successful. Just be open and honest. And when you're building a community, be honest with your community and understand you make more of an impact more than you do. We have a lot more episodes coming in. But again, this is episode 8. Thank you so much, Thickles, for being on. I really appreciated it. That's it, guys. My name is Feeds. Thank you for tuning in to Feeds Mindset. And I'm out, guys. Peace.